Hi, this is Larry London. Welcome to Border Crossings, bringing you interviews and performances from some of music's biggest names. And today we are joined by a four-time Academy of Country Music Award winner as the best guitarist for the year. That's four different times, and he's nominated for an ACM as well. So we're glad to welcome Rob McNelley to the show. Nice to have you here.
Hi, nice to see you, Larry.
And looks like you have shared the studio, at least. I don't know if you've been on stage with Dolly and Luke and all those folks, but you shared studio time with them. You're one of the biggest session musicians, I guess, in Nashville.
Yeah, I guess, I've been at this for probably 15, 20 years. And I've just, been lucky enough to play on a bunch of different records with a bunch of different artists.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
That's fantastic. Have you ever played the Opry?
Oh yeah, several times. But that was kind of more in my days where I would play live a lot with different artists. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so you decided you want to start putting out your own music.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah,
so basically that's where you've been writing songs since you were 10. You're from Ohio, Columbus, Ohio?
yeah.
And you moved to Nashville when you were, I guess, 10-ish. And that's when you started writing songs? Or
Well,
16,
no,
16, 15, 16.
no, I moved to Nashville when I was about 25.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, back in 95.
Gotcha.
And yeah, but I was writing songs. I mean, the real reason I picked up a guitar was because I wanted to write songs.
Hmm.
And then I got better and better at guitar playing.
Mm. And who inspires you as far as guitar players are concerned?
Oh man, it's a wide range. My first inspiration was probably Willie Nelson actually on guitar. And then after that, the Beatles, the Stones, George Harrison, Keith Richards. And then I kept finding my way back to people like Chuck Berry and Muddy Waters and Jimmy Reed and all the kings of the blues, the three
Hmm.
kings plus everybody else that played on any blues record in the 50s
Wow.
and 60s. Yeah.
That's the very, very interesting, the diversity, the diverse tastes that you've had in music, going from Chuck Berry to Willie Nelson. There's very
Yeah.
different guitar stylings between those two.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I like it all. I
Hmm.
draw from everywhere.
And you only play the guitar or you play other instruments?
Well, I play other instruments, but guitar is the only one that I could charge money for.
Ah,
You know?
because you got the awards, so you might as well
Well,
use them.
luckily enough, yeah.
So your latest song, or the song that was out in June, is called "Right Back to You,"
Yeah,
and now you've got a new single, "Circus is Leaving Town."
yeah.
So tell me about your songs. Tell me about your plan, because I read that you're planning an EP, but that's later down the road. Right now, you're just putting out singles, which seems to be the way the business is going these days.
Yeah, well, yeah, I have a bunch of stuff recorded. I probably have about two EPs ready to go, and I'm still recording stuff. It's just kind of I'm always doing it in my free
Hmm.
time.
What
I
do you
have
call two EPs? An album.
Yeah,
It's 10
exactly.
songs.
Yeah, exactly. It's the equivalent of that.
Hmm.
Yeah, so right now I'm just putting out a song at a time, and then I'll probably drop them as a collection,
Hmm.
or two collections or whatever.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's kind of where it's at.
And it must have been, you'd have to tell me, playing the guitar for Dolly Parton can't be the same as playing the guitar for Bob Seger, can it?
Uh, well, no, not stylistically. But the process is kind of the same. It's if you're in the studio that you're just putting your ideas forth,
Right, right.
yeah, but obviously those people command some different kind of attention because you've been listening to them your whole life. So when you
Right,
hear
right.
them in your headphones singing,
Hmm.
it's kind of uh raises the hair on your neck.
Oh, yeah, surreal.
Yeah.
You're one of your childhood idols, and now you're in the same room, working together on a song. So
Yeah.
is there any stories? You got any good stories about all these people you've worked with? Because you've worked with so many. I was looking over the list of the names: Lainey Wilson, Carrie Underwood, Hank Williams Jr., Lady A, and the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
So favorite stories or interesting stories?
Well, yeah, I mean, one that gets told a lot is how I first came to work with Bob Seger. He was getting ready to go on tour and he needed a guitar player. And somebody that was in his band actually recommended me that also works out of Nashville. And Bob flew down to Nashville and we spent the whole day him teaching me Bob Seger songs. And at one point I asked him, he said, yeah, this tour, we might have Jackson Browne opening. We're talking to some different openers or whatever. And I asked him if David Lindley still played with Jackson Browne ever. And I don't know if you know who that is, famous
No, I don't know that name.
Okay. And
Saxophone, did you say?
A slide guitar.
Oh, slide guitar. Yes, I know Alta Reed from Bob Seger's band.
Sure,
but I don't know John Lindley.
Yeah. So I asked him about that, and he said, "Well, nah, he's a great slide player." And then he goes, "Hey, do you play slide?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "I haven't played Like a Rock in my show since the '90s. Just haven't had a slide guitar player in my band. Do you know Like a Rock?" And I knew the song, of course, but I didn't know the slide solo. And he said, "Okay, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to smoke a cigarette. And at the end of that cigarette, if you've got the solo learned, you've got the gig."
Wow.
So sitting there like, wow, I really stepped in it here.
Yeah.
And, so he went out on the porch and was smoking a cigarette. And I kind of started trying to figure it out, and I was getting there. And of course, he at the end of his cigarette, he peeked his head back in. And he goes, "You got it?" And I go, "Smoke another cigarette."
Smoke a cigar. I need a little more time.
Right. So he sat out there for a few more minutes, and then he came in. And he said, "All right, well, I don't care if you got it note for note. Let's just hear what you got." And I had about 80% of it together. I mean, he tells the story like I played it perfectly. And I probably played it better than I thought I did, because you're always in that situation. You think you're terrible, but
right. Sometimes being under pressure kind of accelerates us a little bit, the adrenaline rush and whatever.
Exactly. So that's kind of, and then he said, "Okay, all right." And there's two solos in that song. So the first solo I kind of played, and he goes, "Okay, it sounds really good. I'm gonna come back here next week, and if you got the second solo together, then you've got the gig." So he flew back down a week later, and that's how I ended up playing on tour with Bob Seger and getting to record stuff with him.
How long have you been with him?
Well, it's not really an active thing anymore, but 2013 was the first tour.
Okay, all right. Well, I might have seen you because I interviewed Bob Seger right around that time. He was on tour. He had come to Bristow, Virginia. For a concert.
That sounds familiar. I mean, I don't remember everywhere we played, but yeah, I mean, I bet I was playing.
Yes.
I was the new guy.
Yep. And I'm from Detroit, so I have a soft spot for Bob Seger.
Okay, there you go.
We've got Rob McNelley, who's our guest today, quite an established, well-respected session musician, guitarist, songwriter, performer. He is with us today on the program. So I'm going to ask if you do a song, Rob.
Yeah, sure.
What would be the first song?
Well, let's do, I'll do Right Back to You.
All right, Right Back to You. This is the first single from June, and it's Rob McNelley here on Border Crossings.
Well, you sold me when you told me he's just a friend of mine. But what's getting out all over town is that you've been having a real good time. I hope he gives you all the things a girl like you dreams sadness in your eyes. Looks like he gave you the heartbreak a girl like you truly deserves. And that's the thing that gets me through the day, is knowing everything's gonna come back to you. Everything's gonna come back to you. You went and did what you wanted to, and now everything's gonna come right back to you. Back to you. One thing in life you can't escape is the pain you get from the pain you make. Words that live by every single day. Everything's gonna come back to you. Everything's gonna come back to you. You can't outrun these things you do, and now everything's gonna come right back to you. Back to you.
Border Crossings, Rob McNelley, and right back to you here on the Voice of America, and back to Rob. So you are currently working on what? You're in a studio right now as we speak, and you're working on your next single or the EP. What are you doing exactly?
Today, I'm working on somebody else's record. This young guy from Texas named William Beckman, incredible singer. He's amazing. You'll all be hearing about him soon.
That's great. And we'll be listening to your guitar when we hear about him.
Hopefully.
Rob McNelley is our guest, Guitar Player of the Year, 4 times in a row. Well, maybe not in a row, but 4 times on the Academy of Country Music.
Yeah.
And the Country Music Association Musician of the Year nominee. So when you won your very first Guitarist of the Year, did that change everything for you?
You would think it would, because that seems to make sense. But I mean, it's always slow. Everybody catches up later. I mean, I remember the first time I played on a #1 song, I thought, oh boy, this is gonna, people are gonna know about me now. And when you're the new guy, it takes a while for people to think it's you around in your immediate peer group. But by the time I won my first ACM, I was already pretty well known and established around town. I mean, it probably did help people from out of town that came here to record, like, maybe we should hire that guy. He seems trustworthy.
Sure. And you walk around with your ACM awards, here's my 4 ACM awards.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking with Rob McNelley. And Rob made a change when he was in his 20s from Ohio to Nashville. What was that change like for you? Because those are 2 different vibes, Ohio and Nashville.
Yes. Man, well, it's just Nashville back then was a little slower paced. It was the mid-90s. It was still had a little bit of a small town vibe, and now it's totally grown up. I don't know how much time you've spent here, or if you've been here recently.
Never even been to Nashville. I hope to get there. Music City.
I mean, it still had that southern thing to it. I guess it still does, but it's a big city now. I mean, it's exploded,
Oh, yeah. A lot bigger. Yeah. We're on a TV channel in Nashville, too, right now. So we have a in Nashville, channel, and I think it's Canyon Mountain or something like that, but it's, country music. And so you're going to be seen on that in Nashville. Oh, cool. You can watch yourself.
All right.
You're also on VOA TV around the world as well. I'm so happy to have you in here. So, Rob, what are you going to do for us next?
Well, let's play Circus is Leaving Town.
All right, this is the new one from Rob McNelley.
Well, it creeps up on you while you're sleeping. You awake to a world that has changed. never showed it. You put all of this into motion, 'cause you knew what you wanted to do. Can't look beyond it. That's how bad you want it. I'm not sure what to do at this moment. Sleight of hand's got me reeling right now, trying to keep my world from crashing down. Every time I turn around, the jugglers and clowns have torn it all down. The circus is leaving town. They'll be found. I'm not sure what to do at this moment. Sleight of hand's got me reeling right now, trying to keep my world from crashing down. Every time I turn around, the jugglers and clowns have torn it all down. The circus is leaving town. Can't be found. The circus is leaving town.
Border Crossings, brand new from Rob McNelley. The circus is leaving town.
Mm-hmm.
And you wrote these songs, which is not
Yes.
typically, is that what you do? Would you call yourself a songwriter, a guitarist, or a vocalist? How would you rank yourself?
Well, I mean, people know me as a guitar player first and foremost. That's my main thing. But when I'm doing my music, I think of myself as more of a songwriter, singer, songwriter first, and the guitar is kind of just ornamental,
Mhm.
you know.
What were you writing about at 10? I mean, you didn't have a whole lot of experience to draw on.
Well, I was around a bunch of debauchery when I was 10.
You gotta be if you want to be in country music.
Yeah, exactly. Man, I mean, my first song was probably a love song, and then my second song was about a guy with a drinking problem. So,
Nice transition.
yeah, so I don't know,
And you have
man.
to tell your friends there's no connection between the two songs.
Right.
I didn't turn to the bottle because I broke up.
Yeah.
So what's been the highlight for you? Rob McNelley, a guy who's been doing this, I read since the 90s, 95, you put out your first album. So what have you been doing, that's really struck you as memorable in your career?
Man, I just I like being part of the scene here in Nashville and getting to play on all the different stuff I get to play on. I mean, I do make mostly modern country music, but I've played on a bunch of Buddy Guy records, Delbert McClinton, the Bob Seger stuff. There's always something cool happening here that's off the beaten path and that's different every day. I mean, the fact that I make a living playing guitar, I mean, that's the goal.
Because you've worked with a variety of different kinds of artists,
Yeah.
Can we expect different kinds of music from Rob McNelley, or are you it's all going to be country music?
It's not really even country music, to be honest. It's going to be an eclectic mix of all my influences from soul music, blues music to rock music. I guess it gets in there. It sits next to country, maybe because there are story songs sometimes, or there's, lyrically it might lean a little bit towards some of the more traditional things that you would see in a country song. I mean, it's not about trucks or anything like that, or small towns or anything, but I don't know. It's probably closer to Americana music.
Americana. I still don't know what Americana music is versus folk. I've been doing this a long time. I've had Americana bands on all the time, and they say they're Americana. What What is that? What does that mean?
Well, I think it's just blending styles of American music, music that it doesn't actually describe what the music sounds like because it can be all over the place. But I think it's just kind of like anything that's a thread back to traditional American music in some way, folk, country, blues, jazz a little bit, or you know.
Now, you said you had written many, many different songs, different styles of songs. When you're writing, let me ask you, what's the most unusual place you ever got inspiration to write a song?
Well, that's a good question. You know, I like reading about, well, I wrote a song a long time ago. It's actually up online on Spotify. That's about, you remember Scott Peterson?
Sure.
Okay, the guy that killed his wife and
Yes. Yeah, of
so
course.
I wrote a song based on that. It's called The Secret. It's I don't know, that's probably the weirdest example someone could go listen to. It's kind of a murder
Wow.
mystery song.
So you didn't like, sitting in an airplane got inspiration, or, a lot of artists say that they, in the showers, when they get their ideas and they do their singing and the good acoustics, and, some say it's, in the airport going from A to B.
Yeah, man, that's the thing about songwriting, I think, is just your antenna's up at all times and it can strike at the weirdest moment in the weirdest place. And that now that we have our phones with us all the time, you can kind of whisper an idea into your phone and revisit it later and try and finish it.
Do you ever get a writer's block? Have you ever had that?
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, it's I think that's a natural part of it, sometimes you're just not in the headspace to receive the information. That's all I can say about that.
That's well stated. Well stated. Now I'm going to ask you a question I like to ask all the guests that come on. If you could collaborate with three people, living or dead, on your list, 1, 2, and 3, who would those three people be?
Oh man, Paul McCartney for sure. And probably Keith Richards. I think that would be interesting. And then man, I don't know. But Hank Williams. I think that would be interesting.
Okay, I thought maybe you were going to say Chuck Berry or Willie, but
well, hey, if you want to go to 5,
you'll definitely put those
20,
on your
I
list.
got more.
Rob McNelley is with us, and so there is no name for the EP, which will come out in the near future at some point. Or do you have a name? Are you kicking a name? You have a couple choices you can share with us?
Man, I don't know. I could just call it my name because I've never released one just my name. So I don't know yet. I'm still trying to see what grabs.
Well, see, and you don't have to worry about copyright issues if you call it Rob McNelley,
Yeah.
You call it something else, you find out, oh, the Stones had that album out.
Yeah, that'd be funny if they did.
So, Rob, what are you going to do for us as the last song?
Okay, well, this is an older one. This is called Just Walked By.
All right, Just Walk By. Here's Rob McNelley on Border Crossings.
When you're stuck in the middle of a life and you don't know what you did with your time, and you can't get higher than you've been before, 'cause now all you do is try. I'll be the one who's on your mind. I'll be the one you just can't find, the one you just walk by. Drowning out the silence of the night with a song from a brighter past, and you're staring at the candle and the flame burns out that you thought would last. I'll be the one who's on your mind. I'll be the one you just can't find, the one you just walk by. When you're walking down a crowded street trying to beat everyone else in line, and you feel a flash of energy so close from someone you just walked by.
It's Border Crossings, Just Walk By. Rob McNelley, who is with us here in our studios. Actually, you're in a studio in Nashville. You're probably familiar with all the studios there since you work with so many different people. What was it like working with Carrie Underwood?
Oh, it was fun. She's a incredible singer. The coolest thing about working with her that I remember, and I've done a couple records with her at this point. She's very friendly in the studio, but usually we're working on as we're working through the arrangement of the song, and we're kind of doing some multiple takes, and then when we finally get to the place where we know what we're doing on this song, and we'll hit it a couple times just to kind of make sure it's all there. And then she comes out into the vocal booth and actually sings live with us. And this happens every time with her or any great singer.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing along with no vocal or maybe a pre-recorded vocal. But then when she comes out and sings it with the band while we're doing it, those are always the takes, because when she gets in the booth, man, she lets it go, and it's just amazing. We usually get it in one or two takes, and the energy on the floor elevates so much because her powerful voice and just amazing performance, and she's inspired, and we feed off of what she's doing, and it's pretty fun to watch or be a part of, because it's happening, and it's kind of like magic,
Wow, yeah. Have there ever been an occasion when you were doing a show and you forgot the notes or the chords or whatever? You've had to fake it, you had to riff and do your own thing?
Me make a mistake? No, that's
well,
never. No,
I make them all
I'm
the
just
time.
kidding.
So
Yeah, of course. I mean, you're a little bit more free with that in the studio in a way. I mean, you don't want to be sitting over there playing the wrong thing all the time. You're trying to play it the right thing the whole time. But if you're trying to find a new part in a song, and you're working towards something where you don't know where it's leading, you might hit some clams in there getting to it.
mm-hmm.
But that's okay in the studio, because you can go back and fix it, or
Right.
make this note choice would be better against that, or whatever, But live, yeah, sure. I've had some stumbles on stage live. I mean, that's just part of it. That's how you're not watching a show that's a computer.
Right. I mean, we're humans. We got to make some mistakes, and sometimes sometimes those are the best sounding songs, where there's something happening that no one expected to happen.
Happy accidents, yeah, sometimes.
Yes. Rob McNelley's our guest. What's the longest session you've ever done? The most takes? Because I know you're referring to Carrie singing, live with you guys and singing, a track. And you said we like the takes where she's singing live with us. What is the most times you've had to redo a song? And it probably gets to be, for a musician, you think it sounded as good as it's going to sound. Why are we doing this again?
Yeah. There are a lot of times where they keep wanting to do it, and you don't know why, but everything happens within 3-hour blocks here, because the work is union work. And so, I mean, I don't know what the most number of takes we've ever done, but the longest I've ever worked on a song would probably be where we didn't finish the song by the lunch break, and then we kind of spent another hour on it after lunch, But man, in Nashville and in most places where people are very professional and there's a music business infrastructure, stuff goes pretty quickly. It doesn't. It is hard, concentrated work, but we don't labor on it for days here. Budgets are not what they used to be. I mean, you can't take a year to make Fleetwood Mac Rumors like they did in the 70s, or Hotel California, or any of those classic records.
Yeah, they don't make them like that anymore.
No, I mean, we get right to it.
We got Rob McNelley with us, and what is the best advice you ever got, and who gave it to you?
When I moved to town, an A&R person at Sony that I knew pretty well, Cliff Aldridge, back in the 90s, he had me come to his office and kind of like talk about what I was wanting to do in town and all this. And I had all these things laid out, all these plans. And he just kind of stopped me about a minute into listening to me. And he said, your goal is simple. You just want to make a living playing music.
Hmm.
Like it's going to come at you in so many different forms. It's not going to be like you planned it out at all. And you know, it really resonated with me to just you can't plan any of this. You just have to do it a lot
Hmm.
and see where each little thing that you're doing leads and be open to that. Because it
Hmm.
might be something. I wasn't trying to be a session musician, but I was good enough to do that, and people noticed that about me and said that, well, we should hire him to play on records. But that was not on my radar when I moved to Nashville. And you know, if he had not said that to me, I might not have taken sessions and might not have ended up here where I am, you know.
Hmm. Now, what would you have been doing if you were not a guitarist?
Oh, if I don't, I have no idea. I really have no idea.
Oh.
There was never been a backup
You
plan.
didn't have a plan. It just kind of you came about.
No, this was my passion. I was going to make. That's the only thing I know. That's the only thing that I knew I was going to do.
Right. I got you.
Full belief in that.
Hmm. Do you have a family? Are you married or kids?
Yeah, I've got a girlfriend. We live together, and I have a daughter, and she has a son, and we all.
Oh, wow. Wow. Does your daughter show any leaning towards music?
She could if she wanted to. She sings great, and she's, you know, she's got whatever that is, but
Hmm.
she has other interests. She wants to do other things. She's way into horses, and she's way into other stuff, you know.
Mhm. Doing
Who
other
knows?
things, would you consider doing a Christmas album or a Christmas EP or a Christmas song?
Not under my name, but it's kind of funny you mentioned that because this morning we just recorded a version of White Christmas on this guy that
Oh,
we're
wow.
working with because, yeah, we did all the Christmas records get recorded usually in July,
Yes, yes.
so they're
Christmas
done
in
by
July.
Christmas.
Well, thank you, Rob, for being on the show. Where can
Yeah,
people
thanks.
get your music? Where do they have to go to find out your schedule? I assume you'll be touring eventually if you're not already on tour. So tell me where the fans can find you on social media.
Yeah, Instagram or Facebook are probably the two best places to know what's going on. Just follow me in there, and you can find my music on all of the major streaming platforms.
And what is the social media address? Is just Rob McNelley?
Rob McNelley on Instagram. Yeah, just McNelley. That's a little tricky to spell sometimes, but
Right.
yeah,
Especially for the audience who's around the world, it may not speak English as a first language. So
yeah.
can you spell that for them?
It's I think my Instagram is R McNelley, RMcNelley, and that's where you find
Okay,
it.
and then they'll
It's a
find you.
picture
Well,
of a guy playing guitar.
thank you for and then they'll know they got the right guy and the
Yeah,
right guitar.
yeah.
So, Rob, before you go, I want to give you a chance to say a greeting to the troops and
Okay.
to to the audience that are tuned in as well. So, the stage is yours.
Okay, well, man, thank you for your dedication to keeping us safe and taking care of all the things that we need that not everybody can do or you know is willing to do, but you know, your sacrifice is not lost on me for sure. Thank you for helping us live our way of life as we know it, because we owe you a great debt.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate you being on the show. Rob McNelley is our guest, and my name is Larry London. You're watching VOA TV.